What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and this is your DraftKings NFL Week 11 first look. We're going to take a look at the NFL Week 11 pricing on DraftKings. We're going to go position by position. We're going to look at all of the matchups. We're going to come up with some ideas, some plans. We're going to look for the value. We're going to get everything ready for our NFL DraftKings Week 11 excitement. Now, before I get into the breakdowns, I do want to talk about an incredible weekend of winning at DFS Army. There are some screenshots here that I just have to show. This one's my favorite. This is the jukebox, right? M. Smith 80 in the quarter game. These are 25-cent entries. You only get 20 of them, right? First place for $1,250 on a quarter entry. That's unbelievable. All over the leaderboard. Gemini, congrats. Gemini 656, big FanDuel win. 170 was probably good enough to win the Millie Maker on FanDuel as well. I believe this is the dollar game on FanDuel. Audi, first place. Audi 81, first, second, third, fourth. What? How's that even possible in the juke? I think this is a quarter game as well. Some very small amount of money for the juke. First, second, third, fourth. What? Domination, Monday Night Football. M. Surabel, 23. Big win, first place, 32.5. Put Cardi. The kicker, a captain, you maniac. Well done. Loft Boy as well. Another showdown takedown from this weekend. And, oh, shit, your boy, Chief ST. That's me. Second place in the FanDuel Rush. The only contest I play on FanDuel every single week. Finally almost got it. Was half a point. Really 0.3 of a point away from 50K in first place. That was a fun sweat. As well. So hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I know DFS Army members were crushing it this weekend, and I could not have been happier for them. All right, let's get started. NFL Week 11. Here is the breakdown, and I love to start by taking a look at the domination station at DFS Army, the game tiles where we can see team totals, game totals, spreads, all that good stuff all in one place. Conveniently light them up in green, the better the total is on the game. So we're going to talk through all these games a little bit and just kind of get a feel for what happened and get a feel for the matchups for NFL Week 11. Starting off with the Colts at the Jets, my beloved, my hated, love-hate relationship. The Jets are pretty much out of it. Horrible loss last week. Of course, they're going to come home and win this game. That's just how it's done here in Jets country. Whenever it doesn't matter anymore, that's when they start to win because they fuck you double. First, you get screwed, and now you're not going to make the playoffs. Now you're not going to get a good draft pick. That's the Jets. But Jets are have a 23 and 3/4 point team total against the Colts team that actually can score a little bit with Flacco in there. I think this game has some potential for DFS goodness on both sides of the football. Breece Hall, I think. I don't know if I'm a big gonna play Aaron Rodgers guy, but both Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams should be fine here. And on the Colts side, everybody. Just whoever you want to play there. Downs, Jonathan Taylor, Pierce. We go right back to the same group. We were all over Pierce last week. That worked out, I think, pretty well. Next up, of course, the Raiders at the Dolphins. Not sure who the Raiders quarterback is going to be. This is the first look. It's Tuesday. Don't know. Could be Des Ridder. Could be Gardner Minshew. Don't know. Neither of them are very good. I think the Dolphins are going to dominate this game in a big way, and that means running backs. Dolphins have they're massive favorites here, 26.25 point team total. So you got to expect the running backs getting heavily involved here once again. Could this be an Achane Styles on the Raiders game? Maybe. Could be. I did notice the Dolphins mixing in quite a bit of Mostert and even Wright. So I think that's his name, Blake Wright or something like that. But the third string running back, the rookie from this year. So those guys did get snaps last week. So that's something to keep in mind. Achane got his usual 12 carries and, a handful of, 5 targets last week, 5 to 7 targets expected most weeks. So he kind of functions as a running back wide receiver hybrid. Really good. Got to play him every week. Vikings at the Titans. Man, the Titans. I don't know what to say about Will Levis. But weirdly, this was the Titans' best week. Levis to Calvin Ridley stacks actually almost won tournaments this weekend. Calvin Ridley was part of my second place stack in the, not stack, but second place finish on FanDuel this week. So, props to Ridley. You're my guy. As far as Will Levis goes, I'm not going back to him. Vikings defense is very, very good. We want to try to get Vikings defense in our lineups this week. And that's the main thing. I don't really like playing offenses against the Titans, so I'm going to avoid that game for the most part. Interesting game here. Rams at the Patriots, 43.5 point total. This game has some potential. I almost decided to go with Drake May as the first look quarterback today. That's how crazy I am. But I don't mind Drake May at home in this spot against the Rams. The Rams play good defense, not great, but good. But, you know, they're on the road, East Coast, West Coast, the whole thing. And Drake May's been very, very impressive to me in terms of his ability to put up fantasy points. It hasn't all come together for the monster game as of yet, but I do think it's coming. He runs the football. He's got games with rushing, I think, as much as 90-plus yards. He's always running it. Now, last week they had a tough matchup against the Bears, and they came out ahead. I don't know, the Bears are just imploding, right? So whatever. But Drake May continues to look pretty good to me. He is one of the rookies that I think has a lot of these rookies are looking really good. Drake May, I mean, let me put it this way right now. If you could trade Caleb Williams for Drake May in your dynasty leagues, you're probably doing that, right? You're making that offer. So Drake May looking good. He runs the football. He does everything we want. The tough part is, it's hard to trust a home underdog in a spot like this, but I do like Drake May, and I like him stacked with Henry and or Demario Douglas. Very doable this week and very reasonably priced. Ravens at the Steelers, 48.5 point total. This game stands out in a big way as well. The Ravens have been a defense to attack with opposing pass catchers. Russell Wilson to George Pickens has been working so far this year. I don't see any reason why that will change. Mike Williams had a decent game last week. I don't even know what to say about that. But I guess he suits this offense as well. So we got to pay attention to this game. Lamar Jackson has been the best quarterback on the season as well. Now, normally we're not targeting Steelers. Steelers defense is a good defense. It's like an avoid defense in DFS. So we'll have to see. But I think this game has a little pop potential and one of the higher totals on the slate. So it is something to pay attention to for sure. Packers at the Bears. The Bears really having some trouble right now. I think they're a team that is spiraling downward into the abyss. It's looking good, bad in Bear country. The whole coaching staff, right up to the top, including the GM, Bobby Wow, including the GM, all need to be fired. Now, Bobby Wow's not the GM. He should be. Ryan Poles, I believe, is the GM there. But Poles, whatever his name is. But everybody needs to be fired over there. Start from scratch because the coaching is terrible. And the way the team is playing last week is just embarrassing. You got to something needs to change over there. I don't really want to target offenses against the Bears, though. Their defense has been pretty good. So this is a pretty much full avoid game for me. Jaguars at the Lions. Also, the Jaguars side, not looking too great. Mac Jones. Is Trevor Lawrence going to play? We don't know. Mac Jones out there, whatever. I think this is a Lions just going to dominate and destroy these guys kind of a situation. I actually would pay attention to the Lions running back. This could be that game where Montgomery or Gibbs go bananas. I don't think the Lions are going to be forced to throw that much. Could they just randomly start throwing and styling out there? I guess so. But with Sam Laporta maybe banged up, it's not. That's not how I'm going to be attacking DFS this week. Browns at the Steelers. So the Saints, I'm sorry. Browns at the Saints. And this is an interesting one. Now, Jameis Winston is coming off of a rough outing. Oh, we hate Jameis now. But he was still slinging it out there. He's out there throwing the football a ton. And I see more of the same. The Browns with Winston are just going to sling it 40, 45 times a game. That's going to lead to positive scores for all of their pass catchers. It's just a lot of volume. And all their pass catchers are cheap. Between, Tillman is the best of them. But even Elijah Moore is okay. David Njoku, and even kind of maybe just a little bit of Jerry Jeudy. Now, the Saints have also just recently traded away their best cornerback, Marshawn Lattimore. So their secondary, less good than it has been. This is, you know what? I have interest in Jameis Winston this week. That's right. There, I said it. Unsubscribe, unlike, unnotify. Do what you have to do. I don't care. I said it. I like Winston again. Unfriend me. Can't help it. Gonna do it. I like him. Falcons at the Broncos, 44-point total on that one. Broncos home, 2-point favorites. This is a game also. I'm interested in the Broncos side of this game. Broncos defense, really good, but I've enjoyed Bo Nix's progression as a rookie. Some of the Broncos pieces, all of their pieces are really, really cheap in the passing game. I don't know what's going on for them in the rushing game. Falcons are better versus the run than the pass anyway, so they're a team that you have to attack via the pass, and the Broncos coaching staff has shown that they are paying attention to that. Last week, the Broncos played the Chiefs, I think, and the Chiefs were the number one rated team versus the rush, and the Broncos basically just didn't run the football. They threw it every time. They're paying attention to defensive metrics. In this case, the Falcons are a team that stops the run better than the pass. It's not as dramatic. It's not as dramatic as the Chiefs, so I do expect the Broncos to also run the football, but they should try to score via the pass in this one. The problem is I like Knicks, but it's hard to know who to stack him with. Obviously, Courtland Sutton, Devon Vele got the touchdown last week, so we'll have to pay attention to who the combos might be with Bo Nix if we play a Bo Nix lineup. All right, next up, we've got the Seahawks on the road at San Francisco. Now, last week's first look quarterback, Brock Purdy, was the nuts quarterback. He was the play of the week, so that worked out really well. And as far as this game goes, San Francisco has by far the highest team total on the slate at 28.5 points. So they look to put up at least 4 touchdowns in this one, according to that projection. And that sets up another potentially good game for Brock Purdy. Now, he could get easily vultured if Christian McCaffrey sort of steps up and turns into super GOAT McCaffrey. But I have a hard time thinking this game won't play out with either McCaffrey smashing or Purdy smashing or some combination of that. And I also think that Seattle has a higher chance than most teams of keep making a game of this. They're a team that knows San Francisco. They play them frequently. They're not intimidated or any of that. Gino's been out there slinging it. They have a good running back. So I think that the Seattle could make a more of a game of it than what this line implies, which would even push the scoring more. So this is definitely a game we want to target this week. Last week, Ricky Pearsall was involved as well, and we saw that Juwan Jennings steps into the Brandon Ayuk role for the team. So it's really just more new names. They're still going to continue to put up points across their very tight sort of group of playmakers on San Francisco. That is a team to target. That is a massive team total. We have to make sure to discuss that as we break down the position groups. Finally, what I thought was going to be, I kind of thought this would have a higher projection, but I kind of get why it's not. KC at Buffalo, AFC Championship game potential preview right there. Buffalo's at home. They need to win this game. They just do for the mental, for the karma, right? The Bills and the Chiefs are the primary rivals in the AFC right now. And until somebody else unseats them, you can argue for the Ravens. But right now, it is the Chiefs. And I think it will be the Ravens this year, by the way. But we'll see. So far, it's the Chiefs and the Bills, and nothing has stopped them. So they are the chief rivals here, and this is a fun game to watch. KC defense has been really, really good this year. Nothing to shake a stick at. And Buffalo's defense has been steadily improving throughout the season. So that's why you see a 45.5-point game total for this game, where it looks like two really, really good offenses. That being said, if Buffalo starts to score, KC starts to answer, this can turn into a GOAT rodeo in a hurry. You can get crazy over there. Points galore. So I'm definitely not ignoring it. It could turn into something crazy. But initially, this looks like maybe a little more defensive than anything. I do love Josh Allen this and every week. So Josh Allen, and we'll figure out who's healthy on the Bills to pair him up with. We know K-Shaq is there. Amari Cooper hasn't played, so we'll see what happens with him. And of course, Keon Coleman's been out. So if all those guys are out, that does put a damper a little bit on that Buffalo offense. But we'll pay attention as the week goes on. All right, let's get into the DraftKings screen here, and we're going to go position by position, talking through each position group. We're going to go through our plays and kind of the early thoughts on the salary and the potential for these different plays. We're going to see if we can identify any spots where we can find some serious value. And of course, before we do that, we'd love for you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment here. Which is your favorite game to target in NFL Week 11? Where we game stack? Which one do you like for week 11, where both sides can put up massive points? All right, let's get into it. Quarterback position, starting at the top, Lamar Jackson has been spectacular, averaging 27 fantasy points per game. He's averaging almost 4x this salary. That'd be 32. So Lamar is somebody we can go back to week after week after week after week, including this week. Go right back to it. Right back to it. They're styling on teams when they're winning. When they're not winning, they're winning. They're putting up close numbers. So Lamar, go back to it every single week, including this week. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to try not to build with the most expensive quarterback. I always do that. I always try to avoid to build with the most expensive quarterbacks on this first look, because that's just cheesy and you're really not learning that much. So I'm trying to, and plus we don't really have value. So if we're going to actually make a complete lineup, I'd rather kind of find the best value plays rather than starting at the top with the most expensive quarterbacks. But of course, Lamar is a very exciting play this week, even against the Steelers team that has a good defense. I just don't think it matters with Lamar. He could torch good defensive team. It doesn't matter. Josh Allen against KC. Josh Allen at home. Yeah, sure. KC defense good. So what? These are two elite offenses that could, yeah, really, it's just two elite offenses, two elite quarterbacks, and those kind of games can spike out of nowhere. This also could be a little more defensive in nature, so keep it in mind. Jordan Love is somebody I will not be messing with. I think Chicago's is not a team, a defense. The offense doesn't put up enough points. The defense is too good. I would avoid that this week. Mahomes on the road at Buffalo. Mahomes just not getting it done from a fantasy points perspective. There's no reason that I need to play Mahomes. And it's that simple. I don't really see it this week. It's fine, but probably not something I'm going to do. Brock Purdy, last week's hero, 26.8 fantasy points on DraftKings last week. Just had his normal game, 350 yards, couple touchdowns. Didn't really do much in the run, didn't run one in, didn't need that much. Crossed the 300-yard marker, and that was a big part of it. Of course, last week's matchup against Tampa was very obvious. That's a team that you want to attack with opposing quarterbacks as often as possible, so that was pretty obvious. Seattle, kind of the same, though. Seattle could score in this game. This could be a close game, so I don't mind Purdy. I don't want to chase. It's not really chasing, but I don't want to do the same thing as last week here, so we'll switch it up. But Purdy will absolutely be in my mix of single entry and my tighter lineup mix for NFL Week 11. Kirk Cousins, no. Jared Goff, no. I'm over it with Jared Goff. I know he's going to pop off once in a while, but the running backs just eat up too much of the production on this team. Look at the pass attempts. 30, 22, 15, 25, 25. You know what they all have in common? These are massively low numbers. Even when he put up 55 targets against Tampa, he didn't even get there because the running backs just kept vulturing the score. So I don't like it. I'm out. Even in a good matchup against Jacksonville, I'm out. All right, Bo Nix. Now, this is different. Bo Nix at home against Atlanta. Let's talk about Bo Nix for a second. He can run the football. He's got 2 games where he's ran for over 60 yards, 75 and 61 in week 7 and 6. I think there was a couple of 50-yarders here. So he does run the football. He gets it done with his legs on occasion. Not always. Last week, not so good against KC. Tough game. Really tight, horrible defensive matchup last week. And defensive matchup against Baltimore. But when has Bo Nix done well? Against bad opponents, right? Bad defenses. So is Atlanta a bad defense? I'd say they're better than Carolina. Definitely better than the Saints. But are they a great defense? No, I think Bo Nix can get it done here. So I don't mind at all rolling with Bo Nix against the 25th ranked or a team allowing tons of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers. He's in the mix. Let's think about Nix for a second. All right, moving on. Sam Darnold, no, not interested against Tennessee. Tennessee can't score. They suck, and they play defense well. Screw that, right? Tua also, just not a quarterback that puts up enough production to ever play in DFS. He's a guy that he has elite running backs on the team. They do want to run the football. He will not run it. I hope he doesn't run it. I don't want to see him getting hurt. So we're going to leave him out. And man, isn't this one of the gross? So this is a gross button pick. but we have to mention Russell Wilson. Now, why? Why would we mention Russell Wilson? Well, multitude of reasons here. He's at home, facing a Baltimore team that is allowing tons and tons of points to opposing pass catchers on the season. They're ranked 30th and 31st in points allowed to pass catchers, quarterbacks. The other thing about the Ravens is they generally score quickly. So people who are teams that are facing them want to go for touchdowns. They're not trying to settle for field goals. They're taking extra risks. They're being more aggressive on offense. This is gross. But Russell Wilson put up 19 fantasy points last week, and against the Jets, a quote-unquote good defense a couple weeks ago, smashed them for 25. That was a little fluky because the Jets just stink, of course. And also last week, a little fluky in the sense that he didn't throw for a ton of yardage, but just got 3 touchdowns, which was impressive. That being said, at 6K, it does not take a massive score to get there. So Russell Wilson is in the conversation for the first look. Quarterback. Knicks, Wilson, no Stafford, pass, right? Geno Smith on the road at San Francisco. I'm going to pass on that, probably leaning against it. So yeah, I'm probably going to pass on that, but I think there is some viability to playing Geno, just a high scoring affair. And again, Seattle understands their opponent. Geno, yeah, coming off a big one. He was the nuts quarterback in week 9. I didn't play him, so I feel like I need to make up for that. So we'll think about Geno. I want to think about Drake May. I think Drake May is in a great spot here. Now, Drake May also runs the football a little bit. Rookie quarterback. I don't like rookies, right? But he runs the football a little bit. 95 rushing yards 2 weeks ago at Tennessee in a tough matchup. Got it done. Now, he hasn't gotten the passing stuff really fully down yet, but he could also, he can complete passes. And the Rams can score. 5,600 is a really reasonable price. I think I'm rolling with May. Let's go with cheap at the quarterback. So I've got one more that also pops for me. And again, you guys aren't going to like it. You're not going to like it. You're going to be like, what the hell? Not again. But Jameis Winston. 5,500, right? Coming off of a bit of a dud at the Chargers. So what? You know what he did? He slung it 46 times. Even ran the football a little bit. Now, I'm not expecting Jameis Winston to run 5 rushing attempts, but the 41 and then 46 passing attempts that he's had over the last couple of weeks, yeah, that's about what we should expect. Now, let's understand the reverberations of a quarterback throwing 40 plus times on a team like the Browns. That opens up all of the pass catchers from the Browns because there's only really 4 of them. And so 40 targets, I mean, that could be 10 targets each. Now, it seems like that's a crazy number, but that's not that outside of the realm of what we've been seeing for Elijah Moore, Tillman, Njoku, and Jerry Jeudy, right? They're getting 7, 8, 12 targets each per game, and they're all super cheap. So I'm not sure if I want to play Winston in this lineup as an example right now, but I think Winston is a very viable play this week. I will have tons of exposure to him in stacks with his pass catchers, once again, in single entry and large field tournaments. All right. Rolling down from there, looking at the rest of the quarterback group. Let's take a look here. Caleb is a never, right? No. Lawrence, no. Caleb, no. Flacco, maybe. Against the Jets, my beloved New York Jets. Yeah, you could play Flacco against the Jets. He's not an exciting player, but he will be slinging it. And so why not? 35 passing attempts this week, fine. Will Levis, no. Derek Carr, no. Rudolph, no. Des Ridder, no. Right? Des Ridder might get the start for I can't get on board with this, even at 5K for the Raiders, because he stinks. Like, he wasn't good. Maybe I'm assuming that he stinks. Maybe he doesn't actually stink, but I kind of think he stinks. So it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me, dog. So with the starting quarterback, again, I want to go back and we can go with May. We can go with Bo Nix, Russell Wilson, or Geno. Or push our way up to Purdy and repeat the Purdy play. And those are probably the quarterbacks, those are probably the quarterbacks I'll have the most of this week anyway. So that'll be the group. I'm going to leave. Should I switch this? No, I'll leave Drake May in there for now. I like his rushing upside. I like that he's at home. I don't like that as an underdog. I want a favorite. You know, I was going to go with Bo Nix. You know what? Let's swap it out. Let's go up to Bo Nix. YOLO. Should we go all the way up to Purdy? Do the chalky play, I would say, like the smart play. You know what? Screw it. Let's go all the way up to Purdy. But again, more important than that, and who is at the helm of this lineup, is understanding who's going to be in play this week. And it is, for me, it is very much in my quarterback mix is very much going to be, as of right now, early thoughts. It's Purdy, it's Nix, it's Russell Wilson, maybe Geno, Drake May, and Winston. All right. Shifting over to the running back position for NFL Week 11. At the very top, we got Christian McCaffrey. And let's take a look what he did last week, right? 13 carries, 7 targets, 6 receptions. You like all of this. I like what I have to see here. Obviously, the score wasn't worthy of the salary, but that's going to come. The salary continuing to move up. And if we can afford CMC, of course, we want him in our lineups this week. There's no doubt about it. Kamara was chalk last week. Now, what did he do? He did what you expected. Got a bunch of targets, got a bunch of carries, did not produce a score worthy of tournament winners. So that, part of the challenge, I think, consistently with Alvin Kamara is throughout his career, he hasn't been like the biggest touchdown scorer. That team wants to bring in Taysom Hill or do weird shit around the goal line. So you're going to take the good with the bad when it comes to Kamara. Henry here, probably not going to be super interested. He's not getting enough. He scores touchdowns like crazy. So he's always got that upside and he can always break one. But, the floor is lower than some of the other guys in this zone. The first running back that I want to plug in my lineup, though, is Kyren Williams. I mean, talk about a volume machine. Again, he's coming off of 2 kind of lesser games, and that's fine. The volume was still there. 6 targets, 5 receptions against Miami, 15 carries. No one else was carrying it. I guess they gave Blake Corum a couple. I think they gave Blake Corum a couple carries, but nothing significant. Kyren Williams continues to see something in the range of, and let's see, I think it was Corum. He got a couple carries last week, but yeah, barely anything. 2 carries, 1 reception. In the end of the day, Kyren Williams is seeing 90% of the opportunities at running back for the Rams against a bad Patriots run defense. It's hard to ignore it. But obviously, these other plays are pretty good too. I like Christian McCaffrey there, so that's fine. Bijan Robinson also coming off a big week. Plenty of volume. Finally kind of brought it all together in a great matchup against the Saints. Now he's got Denver. Not as good of a matchup, but still acceptable. So I don't mind Bijan here at 7,800. Taylor against the Jets. Okay, I guess, at 7,800 as well. I think the Jets, I like favored running backs. So as much as possible, I'm going to try to push for the favored running back. Like I'd probably rather have Breece Hall in that game. Breece Hall, though, what a stinker last week. The Jets clearly don't know how to use. They're just a bad offense. I think the biggest problem with the Jets is the coaching. I think they don't know how to call a game. I don't think the offense is very good. I mean, look at what Jets lost a game 31-6. Breece Hall was doing fine. Why are you not feeding this guy the football? The Jets are always in 3rd and 4 and they always fuck it up. They need to figure out a way to convert 3rd downs and maybe use their running back a little bit more. How about throwing to the running back a little more? Jahmyr Gibbs could smash at this price against Jacksonville. Jahmyr Gibbs is just one of these kind of players. He's going to have these games where he'll just go off. I could see him just breaking 1 or 2 against a bad team like Jacksonville. So probably more of a tournament play for me, but I'm interested, right? Devon Achane, 12 carries, 5 targets. Week before, 12 carries, 8 targets, 10 carries, 6 targets. Same kind of volume the last 3 weeks. 2 of them produced massive scores. 1 did not. I go right back to Achane in a great matchup against Las Vegas. As long as they're giving him that volume, he is going to break away for big plays in those kind of games. So I like Achane there. Kenny Walker, playable against San Francisco, sure, but not my favorite. Cook against KC. First number 1 ranked rush defense. I'm going to pass on that one. Pacheco should be coming back this week. I don't like it. I think he's going to not get enough volume, so I'm going to avoid that pairing. No Swift for me either against Green Bay. Montgomery could score some touchdowns in this one. Again, it's a great matchup for Detroit running back. Is it going to be Gibbs? Is it going to be Monty? I don't know. But when Monty's not scoring multiple touchdowns or breaking away, he's only getting 15 carries most weeks. So it's tough for him to get there at 6,500, but he can. But it is a GPP only scenario for me. And as we scroll down, guys, that's about it. There is really no running back value that I've discovered for NFL Week 11. Stevenson, okay, here against the Rams. I think that's a fine play. I don't mind it. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Nick Chubb has not gotten his shit together as of yet. Hasn't had the big game. It's coming. As long as he's truly healthy. I mean, it takes a while. Sometimes those injuries and the explosiveness doesn't come back the next year. So we'll see with Nick Chubb. I don't really like it, even at 6K, but it is a great matchup for him. Could Mostert get it done? Probably not. I mean, I saw them working right into the game as well last week. How much did he get? Yeah, he got 5 carries. So it's kind of Mostert and Wright backing up Achane right now. I don't like any of it. Jamal Williams, Javonte Williams. I mean, a lot of times you would think, hey, it's Javonte Williams week. Denver at home, slightly favored, but he only got 1 carry and a couple targets last week. So I don't know what the hell's up with that, and I'm not risking it. I don't know what the hell happened last week, other than it could have been game plan specific, but also, what if they hate Javonte now? I don't know. He's not that good to where I care, and I'm comfortable fading him anyway. Don't care. All right, let's take a look at defenses for NFL Week 11. Then we'll shift our way back over to tight end and wide receiver. I'm still up in the air about if I want to roll with Purdy in this one or one of those other quarterbacks that we've identified. I really like a bunch of them. It's hard to pick a favorite. I like a bunch of them. But defense, we want to get an idea. The first thing I always like to figure out is what is the cheapest viable defense? What defense is, listen, it sucks. It feels bad, but at least I can save some money, right? And just who cares? It's defense anyway, and who the hell can predict? For me, this week, the cheapest viable is the Titans defense at home at Minnesota. The Vikings have been, a little turnover-y this season, allowing, a decent amount of points to opposing defenses. So they're 23rd ranked in that regard. And these are true numbers as fantasy points allowed. So I think the Titans are the safety click, just probably expecting a 0, but hoping for more. I don't mind the Bears against the Packers at 2,400. The Bears, as bad as their offense has been, their defense has been fine. So I wouldn't mind that if I needed if I had an extra 100 to spend. But for the rest of these, I'm not playing anyone against Baltimore. The Rams are really good. Saints, maybe Browns here against the Saints. That's also playable at 2,600. So another viable defensive spot there. Colts, the Jets, probably not. Bills, probably no. Atlanta at Denver, maybe, right? Rookie quarterback, you never know. Jets, sure, angry Jets against immobile Flacco. That could actually work out really well for the Jets defense. So a lot of decent defenses here. Broncos at home against Atlanta, maybe. Dolphins definitely against Vegas and whoever the hell they're rolling out at quarterback. Probably not going to be very good. Rams at New England, maybe. Saints at home against Cleveland. You have to play. I know I talked about Jameis Winston. You got to play defenses against Jameis Winston every week as well. They don't call him Pick Sixton for nothing. As much as Jameis is out there slinging, he's throwing interceptions too. So it does lead to scoring for opposing defenses. So I don't mind that one. The Saints, let's see here. Ravens at the Steelers, probably not. Packers at Chicago, yes, right? Chicago and a team imploding on offense, so we can play that as well. 49ers, probably not. Vikings at the Tennessee, hell yeah, right? Will Levis, always target defense against Will Levis. And of course, Detroit. So the pay-up defenses are fine, but we discovered a couple good ones here, even in the cheaper price ranges. The Saints are fine. I don't mind that. Dolphins, playable. Jets, playable. Cleveland, playable. And Titans, a little turtly Titans. I like them the least, but they're the cheapest. Let's go to a slightly better one. I think I'll go with the official pick of the Browns here at the Saints. Just a slightly better actual real-life defense compared to anything else, or just a slightly better spot than that Titan spot. Although I don't mind that one either, again, for super cheap punting purposes. All right, let's jump over to the tight end position, and let's run through the tight end group. Travis Kelce, in the last 5 games, has seen double-digit targets 4 times. Kelce is percolating. I don't feel that the salary is reflecting what's going on. He had the bad start to the season. I'm going to tell you guys something as I know how DFS works. If Travis Kelce would have started off the season 20, 22, 24, like some big games like like he's had the last couple games, right now we'd be paying $7K for him, even if his next bunch of games were these crappy 1s and 15s and 5s and 6s. It's just because he started off and now we all hate him. But if you guys listen to any of my breakdowns, when Kelce was failing early in the season, I was saying we need to pay attention to this guy late season. Why? I have a logic for it, right? What was Kelce doing all offseason? Partying with Taylor Swift, right? Hobnobbing with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and, all the big time celebrities are coming to hang out, and Katy Perry's there, and oh my gosh, Bradley Cooper's waiting for us in the car, and Leonardo DiCaprio brought his 21-year-old super hot model girlfriend out. We're going to dinner, Travis. Grab T-Swizz and let's go. He's living the good life this offseason. You know what he wasn't doing? He's not prepping for football, and neither would you, and neither would anybody else. If you're dating the most, famous woman in the world and hobnobbing with all the snobs, you're not prepping for football, right? So I said when he came in, he's probably out of shape. He's probably tired. He's not in game shape. But what happens when the season rolls around? Hey, practice, prep. You're not hanging out. No T-Swizz. She's on tour. I'm not on tour with her. I'm practicing. I'm not allowed to do that stuff. So he works his way back into game shape, which is perfect for the Chiefs. They don't care what Travis Kelce's doing early season. They care about that he's ready for the playoffs. So we are in week 11. He's been with the team practicing, and that's why the production has been improving steadily. I spent a lot of time talking about Travis Kelce there, but I love Travis Kelce going forward for the rest of the season. He's back to his old self. He's in shape, and, T-Swizz is not around all the time, so that's fine. I'm not a hater, man. I love it, Travis Kelce. I'm on board. I got other reasons to hate Travis Kelce, but that's not it. Not for Taylor. Of course, he's going to be a little depressed this week. Had a rough one. Had a rough week last week in terms of some other stuff. But Travis Kelce, very playable here. George Kittle as well. That's always a great stack with Purdy. If we leave Purdy in there, George Kittle and Purdy always do well together. I'd prefer Kelce because of the volume. Bowers, I don't like the quarterback situation here, so that's a pass. Njoku, playable as well. 7, 7, 14, 7. These are the Winston games. The targets start to get elevated here with Jameis. I think this is going to be, I just want to say, having gone through the salary already, I can already tell you that, there isn't great value at running back. There are great pay-up options at running back, so there are good running backs on the slate, but there's not great value. So this isn't the kind of week where we're going to be throwing a running back in the flex at all, I don't think, right? So there is great value at tight end, and I do think that with a lack of running back value, and unless something opens up, of course, it's Tuesday, and as the week rolls on, things change, and I record these on Tuesday. For those of you who aren't watching it on Tuesday, I record early because the idea is a first look, and we have other shows and breakdowns we do throughout the week. But as of now, there really isn't a lot of value presenting itself at all on this slate, so I do think that double tight end will be a viable approach in NFL Week 11. Njoku playable, Ingram no, Kincaid maybe. He's got a Q tag. Let's see what the story is with Kincaid. Knee injury, didn't feel good, couldn't get back out there. So we have to see if he's going to play. If he doesn't play, that again opens a couple targets up, maybe for like a Dawson Knox or some other tight ends on the Bills, or just they don't play anybody. Pitts probably no. Hawkinson, big game last week. 9 targets, 8 receptions, just had a good game overall. I love the increased involvement for Hawkinson. He's going to be somebody we're going to be paying close attention to. I think he's fine. One of the plays I actually really like here is Mark Andrews. Now, so let me bring us around. I love Andrews here. I actually all right. I almost want to shift this. I kind of want to play Russ. I'm doing it. I have an idea for a lineup here, so I'm going to switch it up. But here, the Andrews part of it. What do I like about Andrews? Pittsburgh has elite outside cornerback play, especially Joey Porter Jr. So on top of that, last week, Isaiah Likely was out for the Ravens. They're playing multiple tight ends anyway each week. So somebody else is stepping in. But Andrews just increasing his involvement week to week, 7 targets last week, had 5 targets week before. When Likely was out, it really worked out well. Now, that Denver game was just a blowout, so it didn't matter. I don't expect the Ravens to blow out the Steelers, especially if we're playing this Russell Wilson lineup. What this means is that the Steelers side is scoring and doing well, and the Baltimore side has to answer, right? So in this type of Russell Wilson lineup, I do like the idea of bringing back with Andrews, of course, Lamar as well. But I don't mind Mark Andrews there as a slightly salary-saving tight end option. But wait, there's more. Of course, Laporta at 4,300 has become a value as well, but he's got the Q tag. We'll see what's the story with him and his injury. Pat Freiermuth, never been one of my favorite tight ends. I don't see it. I don't feel it. I think the salary is absurd. Look at these targets, 2, 3. Fuck that. I'm out, right? Even with Wilson, that's a pass. But I do have some other ones that I'd be interested here. Hunter Henry. I mean, the production is all over the place, but more often than not, he's hanging out in the 6 to 9 targets range. That is spectacular. I like Hunter Henry this week. I love him with Drake May, but I think he's standalone viable. Smith playable. He continues to get some targets each week, so that's fine. Colby Parkinson, no. Dawson Knox, no. Juwan Johnson, no. So we don't have a whole lot of other good down here. Maybe Tyler Conklin. Is he getting any targets? Yeah, not so much. Ever since Devontae Adams came to the Jets, they're not throwing at Conklin as much, so I'm not into that. Is there a super cheap guy? I mean, no, not really. I'm not a Troutman believer. No. So it looks like for me, the best value tight end or the pair of value tight ends is probably going to be Smith or Henry, and probably Hunter Henry. I don't even mind if we had to throw somebody like that into the flex. The other one is Jonnu Smith. And like I said, I don't really see, I don't know if you guys are seeing, so let me know if you're seeing something, but sub, 3,800, it gets pretty bad here at the tight end spot. I guess if Kincaid was out, maybe Dawson Knox, some interest, but as of right now, I'm not really seeing anything that I would go below this Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith price point. So again, that's what happens in week 11 on DraftKings. The value starts to dry up, and you have to change your approach from studs and duds to more of these mid-salary builds where you understand if the lower down we reach in the salary, it starts to really harm the lineup. All right, let's jump into it. Wide receiver group, NFL week 11. All right, starting at the top, of course, we've got Justin Jefferson. He's obviously a stud. Not the best of spots, nothing that I'm looking in particular to target. Doesn't feel like the kind of game where he'll get the 30 plus 35 points that we need from Justin Jefferson to justify the price point. So, nothing exciting there. Amon-Ra at 8K. Again, not really an up-tempo game or anything special here. So I'm not sure we'll see a ceiling game out of Amon-Ra, but certainly the matchup is great. Cooper Kupp coming off of, solid target, 7 for 7 against Miami. I like this game in general. I think it can pop. Will it go to Kupp? Will it go to Puka? Will they split and kind of ruin it for everyone? We'll see. Similarly, Tyreek Hill, I don't know if it's the shoulder, the wrist, or whatever he's got going on, the ligament in the wrist right now, but he's just not putting up the numbers that we saw from him last year. It's not even been close. He had one game at 29, and then it's been a disappointment machine. Now, obviously, Tua was hurt for a lot of these games, but he's been back. It wasn't hurt for all of them. It's just been a disappointing season for Tyreek so far. We're about to be 11 weeks in. When's he going to turn it on? I mean, it's time. Devontae, okay. Garrett Wilson against the Colts. Yes, I like that. George Pickens. Absolutely. Let's see what George Pickens has been doing. 20. He's been, he's been heavily involved, I think, with Russell Wilson. So if we were going to play Russell Wilson in a lineup like this, we'd play George Pickens in it. Still keep going back and forth on my start. But yeah, if we play Russ, we'd have to go with Pickens. So if you think about a starting stack here, it'd be Russ to Pickens. Again, there are some other ones that I really kind of like, and I think I want to go back to it. If we went with Purdy, we can do it a little different, right? But Russ would be Pickens right there. Zay Flowers, Zay Flowers, the number of times he's paid off, it's really just this one time. 7, 14, 20, 28. So, yeah, he's gotten there. He had this one game at 32, and that was actually really surprising against Denver where they have a good cornerback. But he's been up there, man. He's getting those low 20 numbers all the time. So I think not George Pickens. I think Zay Flowers should not be ignored. He's somebody that we want to pay attention to. Debo, right, with Brock Purdy. Did not have a big game last week. Can he get it done here? I say yes. Let's go to Debo. Let's go Purdy to Debo in this one. With Purdy, I'm going to double stack it, but we'll start with Debo, and I'll show you who else we could put in there. But we can double stack him up with one of Pearsall or Juwan Jennings. Either way, it all works. And against Seattle, I think Seattle can score, so they should be answering. And I don't mind a piece from Seattle as well in a lineup built around Purdy. Or I keep changing my mind. What if we go with Drake May and go crazy and all different? A Bo Nix, we can pair him up with Cortland Sutton. How about this one? If we went with Bo Nix, we can pair him up with Cortland Sutton, who has been very good of late as well and is a much more reasonably priced stack. So whenever you're looking at a stack, you really need to think about not just the quarterback, but the combination of two, right? We need not just the quarterback, but the stack combination. Who's going to correlate? Do we have to guess a lot with this quarterback, or is his stack partner more obvious? Not every, certain quarterbacks, you never know who to stack them with. So that creates a challenge as well. But let's continue on through the wide receiver position. I just want to talk through every wide receiver as much as we can on the slate here. Drake London's been great. Tough matchup at Denver. I don't think I'd go there. I actually think Darnell might be the better play here. Darnell has been great as well. Look at Darnell Mooney. Just all these points, just putting up numbers out of nowhere. So London and Mooney now the same price. That's wild. London had a better week last week, but you didn't know about it. 12 targets, 8 receptions. So he had the better week. He's getting more volume. I think London remains the better play. But again, this is not a great matchup for Atlanta's offense, so I'm out. DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is very much in play. I assume that he'll be back this week. If he's back and healthy, sure. If not, Jackson Smith-Njigba had his breakout. He's the man now, right? So I could see going right back to JSN as well. If we wanted, but either him or Metcalf, if Metcalf's starting, I think both of those guys will be interesting plays this week. Let's see who else. Josh Downs, tough matchup against the Jets, but Jets, they stink. Khalil Shakir, tough matchup against KC, but again, Buffalo doesn't have a lot of other options. Calvin Ridley, good matchup, but bad quarterback, right? Calvin Ridley's coming off a good game, and he's had 2 of them of late. So Ridley heating up a little bit, especially since they got rid of Hopkins. He's the only game in town. They keep throwing to him. But, it's hard to have a lot of trust in Will Levis. But my good, what if Will Levis is the guy? We'll have to get to that on Tournament Tactics. That's more of a Friday play. Like later in the week, come around to it. Thomas Jr. against Detroit. No, again, Jacksonville, not really sure what's going on at quarterback for them. And Mac Jones did not target him last week, so forget that. Moore, no. Pittman, no. Waddle, no. Jameson Williams, no. Could he get it done? Sure, but probably not. Cooper, again, I'm waiting for the Cooper game, but it hasn't happened yet. But the next name I want to plug into my lineup that I think is a really good spot here is DeAndre Hopkins. He's not going to fit in this approach. As you can see, there's no salary left. But in general, DeAndre Hopkins, last week was the chalk, right? Now no one's going to play him. But what happened last week? He went up against Denver, and he had elite coverage by Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain's best cornerback probably in the NFL right now, and he was on Hopkins, so it limited Hopkins' production. But I think Hopkins goes right back to being Rashee Rice 2.0 this week. So I really like Hopkins. I am good to put him into a lineup. But we aren't done yet. Plenty more wide receivers to talk about here. Xavier Worthy, no. He's not worthy of the price. I don't even get it. He's averaging 8 fantasy points per game, and we're paying $6K. It's ridiculous. Enough. DraftKings, enough. He had one good game. This is what I was talking about earlier. He had a big game week 1, and they jacked him up to 6K. And then he's done shit since then, but they keep him there. Not enough volume for Xavier Worthy. He does not earn the salary level. Jacoby Myers is a player I like a lot, generally, but again, not with Des Ridder or whoever the hell is starting. Right now, I don't know. And Miami has great cornerback play, so I'm passing on that one as well. Dubs, meh. Jerry Jeudy, interesting, but I like the other wide receivers for that team a little more. Juwan Jennings, here we go. So I talk about if we went with a Purdy lineup, I don't mind having Juwan Jennings in there. Look, 11 targets last week. This makes me want to go back to it. I'm so excited. Like, if we went back to Purdy, put Juwan in there as the double stack. Get Sutton out of there. Put Juwan as the double stack. And of course, Pearsall. We can't forget about Pearsall. One of him or Pearsall, right, would work. So Pearsall won me a couple of tournaments. Does not matter. Do I have a preference? No. Doesn't matter to me. But you could see here. And now we could go right back to, in this lineup, we can go back to putting DeAndre Hopkins in there, who I really like. And 3,500 in the flex, not enough to get a proper flex play. Have to get that figured out. But the other option here is Purdy double stack. Now we just look for some value plays at the wide receiver position. I don't want to cross over or just pass over Cedric Tillman, who has been the best of the wide receivers to pair up with Jameis Winston. I love Cedric Tillman here, so I could do that as well. Leaves at 3,900, and that leaves us with our tight end in the flex that I talked about earlier, 3,900. But again, I want to continue to look at these different potential wide receivers. Tillman is the best of the Cleveland group, I think. I don't mind Pearsall, but you can only do 2 players with Purdy, so Tillman there. But Elijah Moore is another player on Cleveland that we'll see in a second. That's also very playable. Demario Douglas down here. So the sub 5K wide receiver group. Demario Douglas with the Patriots. I don't mind it. Douglas has kind of been the WR1 for the Patriots, kind of, since Drake May has been in there. So I like that spot. Mason Tipton coming off of a 0. I can't get on board with him. He is dead to me. Dead to me. Got to talk about Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Last week on Tournament Tactics, we brought up Valdez-Scantling, and I said, the Saints have gotten it done with Traquan Smith. And I literally said 3 receptions, 2 touchdowns. That's the style of player that Valdez-Scantling, the Traquan, the Chef Smith style player. And what does he go do? Literally exactly what I said. But don't get too excited about this guy. He is not good. So he popped off, tournament only. It happened last week. Great job. Don't expect it to keep happening. Adonai Mitchell was somebody I had a ton of last week. That worked out as well. Elijah Moore, take a look at the target numbers. 7, 12, 9. He is getting peppered. So as we need salary savings, he doesn't. The production hasn't necessarily equaled the targets, and that's because I don't think he's that good. But in general, is that a dangle earring? Oh my goodness! I hope it's not. I hope I'm not seeing dangle earrings over here. Dangle earrings are unacceptable, guys. So just side note. I'm cool with the man earring, but it can't be a dangler. It's got to be a stud. Because if you're a guy, you want to be a stud. You don't want to be a dangler. You want to be a stud. Mike Williams. Oh, all on one catch. So I could safely ignore Mike Williams. That's good. I know he had a big score. Didn't see from what. Devon Velley. So I want to mention this guy also. Got a touchdown last week. End up with a decent score. But he's usually going to give you a crappy scores. So it's nothing exciting down here as we get to the cheapest wide receiver group. Mac Hollins got some targets last week as well. All the wide receivers. Actually, Mac Hollins is very much playable, and he will be somebody. And I'm looking for bargains, and I think he's got to be on our list this week. Assuming some of these Buffalo wide receivers remain out, he's just on the field, and he does see targets. So why not? Could be Mac. We can roll Mac in here and call it a day. But let's see what other value wide receivers may or may not present themselves. Westbrook-Akine had come off a couple good games, but he is who he is, and again, his quarterback is not good. So I would say Devon Velley, Mac Hollins, Calvin Austin. 6 targets, 2 receptions last week. Had a big play. So I think Calvin Austin, kind of keeping in mind for tournaments. I saw Keyshawn Booty popping up as a value play on the optimizer. So maybe Keyshawn Booty. Odell Beckham got a couple of targets, but, again, these guys are really dusty. So I think what I want to do here is go back to my original concept for the last spot in this lineup and just roll with Hunter Henry. I like the spot, and I think Hunter Henry's kind of the de facto WR1 for the Patriots right now, and I like the Patriots matchup. So we switched it around, and I want to sort of just, again, reiterate. At quarterback this week, any one of Purdy. Let me get the rest of them. Nix, Russell Wilson, Geno, Drake May, Winston kind of all qualify as these lower cost potential to pop plays. Those are probably going to be the primary quarterbacks that I'm rolling with as of right now. And of course, mixed in with Lamar and Josh Allen at the high end, but not a ton of that because it does get very expensive unless we open up some value. In this case, we went with Purdy for NFL Week 11 in our first look, and it's going to be a Purdy to Samuel and... Wait, did I put in Robinson? I clicked the wrong name. I was going for Juwan Jennings. There, messed up my whole thing. So let me get back to this. Purdy. You know what? How about Pearsall instead? No, I like Jennings. I'm going with it. So we're going to switch up the defense. So I'll show you my little trick, right? The second you hit a number that doesn't quite fit, and this is just the process of making lineups by hand each week. It's like, I don't like that one. Switch it up to this one, right? So here we go. NFL Week 11, first look lineup. We've got Purdy double stacked with Deebo Samuel, and Juwan Jennings. Jennings coming off of, 11 targets last week. Should see more of the same here as he slides into the Brandon Ayuk role for the 49ers. We got Cedric Tillman, the volume machine, coming off of the Browns with Jameis Winston at the helm, throwing a ton of passes. At running back, we've got Kyron Williams at New England. We've got Achane at Las Vegas, two favored running backs against bottom-ranked run defenses. In the flex and tight end, we got Mark Andrews in this big game, Baltimore at Pittsburgh, hopefully that in this case that Likely is out. If Isaiah Likely is in, I'm probably not going to play as much Mark Andrews, but he's got the Q tag, so we'll see. And in the flex, we had to pay down in order to make it fit, and we put Hunter Henry in there, the de facto WR1 for a New England team in a good spot. And again, there's probably 5 or 6, I think, super viable quarterbacks for NFL Week 11. So check that out. Let me know who your favorite stack is. I went through a bunch of different names. Do you like May? Maybe Drake May in the stack. Bo Nix stacked with Cortland Sutton. Russell Wilson stacked with George Pickens. What of the stacks was most appealing to you that we talked about? Maybe it's Purdy. Go right back to it. What won last week? Might as well just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Are you paying up for Lamar this week? Let me know in the comments section below. Good luck this week. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will be back throughout the week with tournament tactics, showdown breakdowns, all that good stuff. Sign up at DFS Army. Promo code Geek gets you 10% off any one of our memberships. So we want to see you in the Discord. Get in there.
Big time, knowing that diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine.